What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. BobbyFi with my man, Eric Sheets-Haber. It sounds from our pre-show conversation like Sheets did a little better than I did this weekend. Did okay with some of my FanDuel football. Didn't do well on DraftKings. Didn't do great in basketball this weekend. I definitely, I would say I ran pretty poorly, but I didn't play that many lineups. And Sheets touched on some things, so he's going to talk about that for a minute, and then we're going to jump into tonight's slate.
Yeah, first of all, I had a good time. By the way, for those of you that were there, we were yapping about MMA for a while on the Discord channel on Saturday.
Oh yeah,
there were a couple of guys in there. That was definitely a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll try to get in the Discord more often. I actually really do like it in there. So I'll try. So I had two kind of funny lineups I wanted to kind of show you. Okay, so I'll just share my screen. So what was weird? First, I want to talk about golf for a second. So I'm telling you, I was in a position to just murder it going into Friday.
Yeah.
And then everybody kind of collapsed.
Yeah.
And then it was really funny. So this is one side of success story. So my main lineup, I'm going to show you. I enter in a lot of different things or whatever. So what this is, I entered in some satellites too. So I won this satellite, okay, with three people missing the cut. And not only that, but I won it by like a lot.
Right.
Just to show how hard this was. But and one thing I kind of liked is Empire Maker was in this one. And what I feel bad about is that I know that Empire Maker enters like one lineup in everything. And if this is the lineup he entered in everything, he might have just.
Why would you feel bad about that? The guy is he is not worth feeling bad for. First of all,
you know what I mean.
He's got plenty of money, and also he's like a pretty big. I don't know. He's a strange dude.
I got you. But I just happen to know that he like enters like his main lineup in like everything.
Yeah.
So this was probably the least of his concerns, this satellite.
Yeah.
But in any case, so the funny part about it was not how I did, but I barely even realized what this was for. So I won a $360 seat into a freaking hockey GPP. So I actually have to figure out
what to do. Hockey. You play hockey a little bit.
What to do about that one? Do I have to use it for the hockey?
I guess so. Yeah.
It's not just a random 360 ticket that I can use. Oh, all right. Well, we'll figure it out. Anybody know anything about hockey? Honestly, like just come on in there.
By the way, yeah, I should just throw out. By the way, I had a really good chance. I didn't even realize till just now. I just looked at my showdown lineups from yesterday. I was like pretty on fire. I just couldn't get the Yeldon and McKenzie togetcha, but I played two lineups on DraftKings, and I realized I was right near the top.
And this was the whatchamacallit. This was actually the sweat. I mean, like the very, very last thing in the fadeaway here. So I was actually really, really on top of like kind of all, no, not this one. Yeah, this got 17. Really, really on top of like all the news going into yesterday. And when they announced that all of those Atlanta guys were out, like Capella and Young, I'm like, all right, I'll play Hunter and Collins. They're both going to be huge chalk, but we'll see how it goes. So Collins, I honestly, and I don't like playing him in general.
I didn't think anybody was going to play Hunter. There was never even. I didn't even hear.
Really?
Yeah, he's never scored 40 fantasy points. I don't think. Maybe once before.
But Collins, I really thought was going to be at least 50% on.
Yeah, I thought he should have been. I was surprised about
and
that.
I was really pissed because he did nothing in the first half. Because the thing about Collins is Capella out doesn't. I mean, he never plays center. I mean, like he loves shooting threes and he loves doing whatever. Just so much usage with to go around. So this is how I ended up. And one other thing I wanted to discuss is the Jerome Robinson, and not because it got there or whatever, but let me just finish this. Is Alec Burks and Lillard. I had these two guys going to that last game, and Burks had 32 fantasy points. He had 30 after 3. Okay. And he came into the fourth quarter with 6 minutes to go and literally got one touch. And, I'm not saying I want to complain because what's his name? Quigley went, he just kind of took over. So I don't blame them for not getting Burks the ball all that much. But if he even ran relatively normal, I'd probably get like third in this thing or something like that. And Lillard just did, Lillard things. But the reason I bring up Robinson is for those of you who I don't want to say blindly in the wrong way, who are just kind of just run projections, just put in whatever they say without figuring out, the difference between like a median low usage, no shot projection and a guy with upside. When they announced that Neto was out and like basically a lot of Washington guys were out, a lot of Washington guys kind of popped in like some models. And one of them is a guy who popped all the time, and that's Isaac Bonga, right? And you got to be really careful, like picking these guys that show up at like 5x who have just usage rates of like 0.6. Okay. I don't want to use a Kogi as an example, but like some of these guys just don't ever do anything. And no matter who's out, you know what I mean? Like he could be playing by himself and he won't have a usage rate. Right.
Yeah.
So I happen to know, I mean, I happen to.
All you have to do is look at the bubble or look at every game the Wizards played last year. I don't think there's anything revolutionary. I totally agree with you.
Right. But unfortunately, Bongo, and fortunately they made Jerome Robinson forward eligible. Yeah. So I just basically swapped out all the Bonga for Jerome Robinson, right? Yeah. Which basically was all I needed to get this done. So this didn't get me out or whatever, but it was certainly pretty good. And that was it.
All right, well, let's jump on over to tonight's slate. And weekend slates, I do feel like you get a lot. People don't play nearly as well, and there's a lot of things that sort of people lazily all decide on. And maybe a little bit Bongo is somewhat one of those things. Thinking about the NBA tonight, let's ready to go game by game.
Yeah. Meanwhile, really quick football I have no idea what's going on because. I mean, I was explaining this to my son, when the games were wrapping up and you knew Kansas City was going to be playing Tampa.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, this is the way the Super Bowl works. Casey should probably be like a 4.5-point favorite, but because the public loves to pick favorites, they'll probably end up like 7. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, you'll just see. And it's like 3. What the hell do I know? You know what I mean?
I honestly think it's kind of dumb and that they're giving too much credit. I mean, like, I actually think that yesterday, like the more I thought about the games and the more I was into it, I was like, God, they're just going to just destroy Buffalo. Buffalo is just not in the same class of team as these guys are. And I think that Tampa Bay has a little bit of a better chance because their defense and being able to. But I mean, look, there's just nobody like this Pat Mahomes Chiefs stuff. I mean, they were going to.
He's just ridiculous.
He's the best of all. He's playing the game at a higher level than anybody in the history of football ever has, and he's just out of control. Great.
He's doing it, and he's probably going to have surgery at some. I mean, like the guy can't walk.
He's not even healthy, and he's just out there winging it and just
healthy. The guy can't walk. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, but even though he can't walk, he still can kind of move around the pocket like just enough. You know what I mean?
Yep. It gives you a good feeling he'll play this game for a long time. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into basketball, which you guys are seeing, by the way. This is not Groundhog Day. I mean, this is what the NBA schedule is like nowadays. You're getting back, not only back-to-backs, but sometimes you're getting back-to-back same matchups. And what used to be kind of an NBA staple, kind of like back-to-back home and homes, now you're getting back-to-back like pure home and homes. You know what I mean? The same home team. So it's just it's the way it goes. I part of me wants to read something into it, right? I say, okay, they're more familiar with them, so it's kind of more. You should treat it more like one of those like playoff series where they make adjustments and things like that. But I haven't quite gotten that far yet. But there's a couple of narratives to kind of poke around on today.
No, but Cheats, we've been pretty good about that actually. I mean, I've pointed out a bunch of times about teams that played the time before that. But what I've mostly been trying to focus on is not what we can expect this because he just did this against this team. It's okay, well, how are they going to adjust? Right. I mean, Embiid against Miami was a great example when he puts up 7 million fantasy points. The next game they blow out Miami and he barely touches the ball. You know what I mean? Because they're doubling him every time. We can figure out that kind of stuff. So anyway, sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
So there's a couple of fun narratives we could talk about today, but let's get through the games.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Detroit.
So Philly, Detroit has very, very little interest to me. Embiid is always a good play, and he's, no one's guarding him from Detroit. I mean, Plumlee's not guarding him; just nobody's guarding him. So he's certainly to me in play. I don't have much interest in anybody else. And on the Detroit side, I don't know, man. Plumlee, like I say, Plumlee's cheap on FanDuel maybe, but I don't know. I think I'm just kind of off for Detroit. I think I'll play Embiid or nothing. I think.
Yeah, I think Plumlee on FanDuel makes more sense than he does on DK, obviously. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world on DK. It's just probably not what I'm going to do. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to play Jeremy Grant here. But again, probably not what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to play him. I do like Embiid a lot. So that's pretty much the most of my interest in this game. Simmons has been playing a little bit better lately in terms of fantasy production, just sort of doing a lot more. I know Embiid didn't play one of those games, but it's a grid matchup. Like, I mean, Detroit doesn't play any defense. The one guy who I have mild interest in, but I will probably find better plays is Seth Curry. I think he'll get his full minutes in run back. I think the conditioning's gotten better. He played 27 minutes the last game, could easily play 30 plus tonight. And Philly, like I said, Detroit doesn't play defense, so he can get some open looks. Otherwise, on the other side, it would only be Josh Jackson for me. And like I said, Plumlee on FanDuel, but I don't really have a ton of interest in playing this game outside of Embiid, who I do like a lot, but we'll probably have some arguments over some other centers.
One of the so Toronto, Indiana, they kind of run back again, and as it was the case yesterday, we have to watch the injury report.
Right.
So I actually watched that game, and I have a couple of observations, and one of them you picked. I mean, you were one of the first people to pick up on, and I'm going to piggyback off of that. And I have another one that's going to be a little bit contrarian, I think. So the one I picked up on, dude, that freaking Anunoby is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is so good, and he's so big, and he's so athletic. He's ridiculous. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to play him at 7K if all these guys come back, whatever, but I'm just a basketball just comment. Second thing is that I don't know if this guy, and these are totally irrelevant, honestly, but just basketball related observations. I don't know if this guy can dunk or if he can play in the dunk contest, but I don't know who, nobody has a higher vertical than Zion, but dude, Norman Powell is freaking explosive, man. Like, I know that he shoots whatever. He can get up in the air too. I mean, he is really, really good. That's another comment. The other comment I had, and I'm going to stick with this, is Chris Boucher sucks. I don't want to hear it. I know he's done better. I know whatever, but I'm kind of not interested. Final observation is that Stanley Johnson can't shoot at all. So I think they started him. They actually closed with him yesterday, and I don't think he's quite ready for that role. So that's my comments. With Toronto, for me, it's easy. You just gotta have to watch the injury report. I think if all these guys play, I don't think I'm going to play them. I think that if I had to play one of them, it would be Lowry. And I think that if any one of them is out, then you can play the others. I mean, that's just the way usage concentrates.
Yeah.
I guess I'll do Charlotte before you do Orlando. Charlotte, not Charlotte. Indiana, I didn't have a lot of interest at all, except to say that a guy that's been showing up for me. Oh, he's too expensive now. Shoot, on DraftKings. But TJ McConnell's been playing pretty well. So I don't know if I'm going to get to much of anybody from Indiana. Turner had a good game. Maybe that's the idea, but I don't know. The whole game is a little bit fishy for me unless Toronto gets those injuries out again.
Yeah, if we have somebody out for Toronto, that would probably be the deciding factor for me. I don't really see the need to jump to anyone on Indiana. The one guy who I think is a long shot tournament play is Jeremy Lamb. His minutes are trending back in the direction. He could be like a 28-minute a game guy. And at 4.4, he's a guy who can shoot you into games. Toronto's given up plenty of shots this year. So he's the only one I have like some mild interest in on that side of the ball. Brogdon, I mean, I'm trying to see what I'm missing here. They only have 8 guys with projections, but are they only going to play 8 players? Brogdon shot the ball horribly the other night, and I think he's a guy who actually might be in play depending on what else we have. Like, but if you just compare like just using another player in a similar price range like him to Vucevic, it's going to be hard to justify Brogdon over Vuce. But I don't think that it's as big of a gap maybe as the numbers would lead you to believe. So I have mild interest in him, but again, probably just going to end up being a little bit of Jeremy Lamb long shot plays for me in this game. And I love Anunoby as a real life player, and we'll see some sporadic fantasy production. I think he's a better play on FanDuel today than he is on DraftKings because of the pricing. But again, you just want to see what happens with Toronto, see who ends up out. And I'm just gonna take a quick look to see, because I didn't see in the last game. I think Baines actually played quite a few minutes in this matchup because they play bigger. Maybe we should consider Baines at 3.8 sheets.
Oh, because Siakam was out too.
Siakam played the last game, didn't he?
No,
I thought it was Lowry who sat.
no, they were both out.
Oh, I forgot that Siakam missed that. Was that Saturday? Must have been Saturday.
Yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday. It was the early slate. That's why I lost it.
Yeah, they were both out.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot.
That's why Stanley Johnson started. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's.
I thought, yeah, for some reason I thought I just had Lowry on there. Yeah, I think that we just need more players to be out then.
Yep. McDermott's been playing better. They priced him up though. The only thing I would mention is Lamb, a back-to-back. I don't know what he had a pretty bad injury. I don't know if he might not even play.
Yeah, on a back-to-back, that's true.
Just look for it.
Yeah, I don't think it really opens up a ton if he doesn't play. So
right, but you know what? I always kind of do this. Like when I fall, not that you fell in love with the play, but I sometimes will get into this idea of playing a guy value-wise, and then like when it turns out he surprises you by not playing, you're like, whoa, what the hell happened? So
right,
it's good to consider that he might.
Sometimes I miss the off slates and I try to keep up with them, but every now and then there's one to sneak by, and that one just did. But one thing I just want to say also, Doug McDermott on FanDuel is probably in play. The minutes are pretty locked in right now, especially if we think that for any reason, like TJ Warren, like less minutes, he might play like 36 minutes. He's 4,500 and he's been playing pretty well. Just throwing him out there. Not the most exciting play in the world, but another guy you can consider.
So TJ Warren?
No, I was talking about McDermott. TJ Warren isn't back yet.
No, he's not. That's why I was wondering who you were referring to.
No, Doug McDermott.
Yeah. Okay. Charlotte, Orlando. A couple of things. I played what's his name, and he was pretty good. He was really good for 3 quarters. Also, Cole Anthony.
Yeah, I played him too. I thought he was gonna. I played him in both my lineup. I guess all my lineups, but
yeah.
Thought we were going to make some money.
He was good. There's a couple of guys from this game, from the Orlando side. I don't want to bring up. I brought up like Aaron Gordon a couple of times. He didn't play yesterday. It's just kind of a guy that I was just off of like for so long, and then like just guys you didn't play, but sometimes you just can't doubt what they're doing. Dude, we also have to really consider that Evan Fournier is a play. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, of course. But I mean, in all fairness, with their team being fully healthy, he basically scored like exactly between 25 and 35 in like 75 straight games last year.
I got you.
Not the ceiling that you're seeing when these guys sit out, and it's somewhat flukish. Like he had 9 assists. That I don't know if Fournier's ever had 9 assists in a game in his career. I would bet you he hasn't until the other night. So let's realize what he has to do exactly to get there.
The other thing I would mention about Cole Anthony, I don't know if you were watching, but they didn't do him any favors. They made him guard like Gordon Hayward, like kind of down the stretch, and that's a recipe for. Well, it's a recipe for.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. It's a recipe for Gordon Hayward getting 57 fantasy points, is what it is. But
yeah, he was lighting them up.
Kind of honestly.
I don't see why it would be any different today.
Well, I mean, and then the last possession they had someone else guard him, and he toasted him too. So, that's a good point. Why would it be any different today? Well, for the same reason that I didn't play him yesterday, I suppose. I just felt as though the Charlotte usage was just kind of spread out, and I didn't want to take a chance that one of them would just kind of stand out like that. But you were right on what's his name a couple of games ago. Just when I had kind of given up on Devontae Graham being a good play, he smashed a few days ago. LaMelo, I don't know. I wasn't really getting to too much of the Charlotte. But what I was getting to again is Vooch, I suppose. I mean, again, Bobby, it's like our center's just like great plays like every day.
It's back to the old thing with DraftKings sheets. I told you that when there's certain years, and as always, the DraftKings like price thing on centers just seems to be broken. It doesn't make any sense. But the thing is, what's made it a little different this year, while we haven't always played center in the utility, is that there's been a lot of injuries to guards, so we've had a lot of guard too. So it's between guards and centers. Like I do think for the most part, it's looked wrong to me anytime I had a small forward, especially in my utility spot.
Ken Birch is fine, I suppose. I really don't want to go back, even if Gordon's out. I mean, I played him yesterday, and he was fine. I mean, Gary Clark's okay. I'd rather not play him. I'd rather not play James Ennis. I really rather not. But if Gordon's out again, I don't know. Maybe we have to, but I don't know. I have a weird feeling Gordon's going to play, and if he plays, I think I might want to play him. I think Vooch is like clearly the best play, and I think that if everybody plays, I like Gordon, I guess.
Yeah, I actually like, it's hard for me with Charlotte, but I do think that Hayward is just criminally underpriced. I don't think that he's always going to put up 40 here, but he'll put up enough 50s to where it won't matter. Devontae Graham, what I like about playing him in general is that the minute ceiling is obviously, the minute floor is so high, the ceiling is really high too. But the great part about playing Devontae Graham is, if he makes 45% of his shots or he makes 40% of his shots, you're getting 40 fantasy points out of him. If he doesn't, which he almost never does, you're not gonna get there. But if he makes half of his shots, you're gonna crush with him basically until he's 7+K. He just plays too many minutes and he misses so many shots, and he's still putting up pretty decent numbers. Hayward would be my favorite. I never ever am gonna argue against any night playing LaMelo Ball. Like, I really just don't. I think he's just like the guy who's made for tournaments. You take some shots with him here and there. Maybe you hit only 25% of the time, but when you hit, you can hit big with like 45s and 50s. And a guy who's never going to be owned because he won't ever project well. And this is a good matchup because of the defense for Orlando hasn't been the same. I love Vooch. I think he's obviously rightfully going to be one of the most popular plays in the slate. But right now, I just have Vooch and Hayward as the obvious plays. If Aaron Gordon played, I don't mind him. And I think that Fournier is a little pricier than I want to spend on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, he's a little bit cheaper and it's a little more stomachable. I do think that Cole Anthony, just especially if no Gordon there, I think we could take some shots on him. It doesn't feel great. Like he played great the other day and didn't put up a fourth quarter. Yeah. And then Khem Birch has been getting the run. So all of these guys in play, but I think it's Vucevic for me mostly. I'll probably sprinkle in a little piece of Anthony here and there. I would have to need Gordon to be out to get to the Ennis and Terrence Ross, and Ennis was fine for what was it, yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. He put up 23 fantasy points. Didn't play as many minutes as I thought he would, but that's what you're looking for at his price range anyway. We didn't talk about one other guy over here, Miles Bridges. I know that there's some spotty stuff, but just the way he plays makes him too good of a potential value. So I'm actually gonna put Bridges as my other value play from. I know they have a lot of players.
So many players that can contribute,
but his is exceptional. It's a little Lonzo-like. It's a Lonzo light. You know what I mean? He's got like 40+ upside. It's hard for him to get the run, but if he plays, he's even still when these guys have been fully healthy, he's had some 28-minute games. It's just he hasn't been as productive. He's just so aggressive that I don't mind taking a shot on him at 4,000 when we don't really have like a ton of like obvious stare you in the face value.
I'll just throw another thing out there. Okay. So Cody Zeller was out for a month, right?
Probably won't play on a back-to-back, and then you're going to say Bismack?
Well, what I was going to say is they brought him back 11 minutes. Not last game, which yesterday, played 15 minutes, got off 7 shots, scored 21 fantasy points. I think that if he plays, he's a good player, 3,300. That's what I was going to say.
Is he a better play than Birch, who's getting more minutes? I don't know if I agree with that. Okay. I mean, Cody Zeller, when he played 24 minutes, wasn't a guy who got 20 fantasy points most of the time. So I don't have the same love, but I do think that if somehow you heard he was starting or something, then
that's what I wouldn't play him if he wouldn't start.
Yeah, he never starts anymore. I mean, they've been starting.
Okay, we'll forget that.
I don't think they're going to start it. But if they do, like if I'm wrong, they do, then we jump on board. So
the other thing I was going to say about Charlotte is that I was going to say, boy, I wonder if you could play PJ Washington at 5,500 and then he's 7,000. So that was.
PJ Washington has been, like I said, all year. I mean, he's just put up too many numbers for us to not,
But they're all there. They're all fine. I don't know.
They're all priced right. That's the truth. They've been productive.
All right. Miami, Brooklyn.
Yep.
Okay. So
another center.
Dragic and Bam, and hope that the game is close, I suppose. But Bam will play. I don't know how much.
Bam's a monster. Bam is going to be hard to keep Bam off of 50 fantasy points tonight.
Yeah, Bam will play too. And who am I to say Brooklyn's going to blow out anybody? They haven't even won a game, right?
No, they won the last one against Miami.
Yeah, finally.
Barely.
Yeah. With Bam scoring 70 fantasy points. Where the hell did he get?
Yeah, he had 68.
Yeah. So yeah, when the score actually approaches what you were trying to exaggerate, then he had a good game.
It's 62.
Yeah. So I like Dragic. I like Bam. They're both going to be popular. Play Iguodala. I don't know. I don't want to play any of the three Brooklyn guys. Just the combination of the spread out usage and the blowout risk just doesn't add up for me. So for me, Dragic and Bam, and that's it.
So I actually was pretty. I mean, it's getting to the point now where teams need to start winning games. Some teams.
Yep.
Miami is one of those teams, and it's weird because they did just have the bubble and everything like that. But it's kind of telling when you put this kind of team together and you're wondering who's going to guard all these guys from, especially when you look at the Miami roster. And they played, what was that, a season high? I think that was a season high. I think it was Iguodala's season high in minutes at 26. He tied a season high. I wouldn't be surprised to see something similar like that from him again today. So I actually think that where I usually say, we don't want Iggy value in the regular season. We don't want it all the time. I'm just going to throw him out there as another potential value guy. I think he's actually reasonable. And I think that they need someone to match up with the combination of KD, Harden, and Kyrie Irving. And he is by far the best guy to guard every one of those guys, with the exception of potential. Well, no, actually, I would say he's better than Bam on Durant, but he's close. It's probably close between them. I'm just going to say this, I know he hasn't exploded past the numbers we've got for him, but Kyrie Irving is still too cheap. He's going to put up 45 in his sleep at pretty much every game. His average is like 40, 48? With all these guys even? I mean, I don't know. I know them all being there makes it like we should stay away or whatever. But I'll sort of offer a counter that I think that if you try to play one of them, and for me, it's mostly going to end up being Kyrie or KD. But I think it's going to be Kyrie. It's just at this price, I think we can play him, and more on DraftKings than FanDuel. But even there, I just think that at 9K is just, it feels too cheap.
What do you think? What do you think of the other of Kendrick Nunn?
I like Kendrick Nunn. I don't know that where his price is getting to, he can have anything less than a really good game. But this is a great matchup, and I think that I have a little bit more love for Dragic than Nunn in this matchup, but it's pretty close. I would rather play Dragic. And the reason I'm not as interested in Gabe Vincent is I feel like he can get toasted by these guys, and that's why you might see more of Iguodala. Because Gabe Vincent would offer some upside with his potential minutes in this one too. But you can't really, I don't know, his minutes, them cutting his minutes the other night in this matchup, he's probably supposed to play 24 and he ended up playing 20, 19. I think that has more to do with the matchup just not working out well for him. But everybody should have their ceiling type of environment against Brooklyn these days. They play so fast. If the game stays reasonable, even if it doesn't, one of Nunn or Dragic probably get there. Bam, I mean, unless he gets in foul trouble, I feel like basically almost always gets there. And that's where I'm at on this one. I love Bam. And by the way, it's going to be kind of hard to play unless you just lock in Bam and Vooch, because they're both awesome plays. And I have them as really close. I actually think Bam is going to be lower owned. It might be the better play.
All right. So what do you think of LeBron going back to Cleveland?
Wonder, a little bit of the luster's taken off, right? But if I just made this argument about Kyrie, and while I think that he actually might be I think LeBron tends to be a little bit over projected, but it's mostly because the Lakers blow everybody out or playing enough blowouts, and AD can also take over. LeBron is obviously one of the best.
They're only 9K, these guys. Yeah,
LeBron and AD are both two guys who make a lot of sense, but I would prefer LeBron. He tends to play better in these situations. I mean, we saw it a little bit the night with Milwaukee. You know what I mean? I sort of called that out on the show. I said, I don't usually love LeBron in a lot of these regular season games, but I do love him in these types of matchups where he really needs to, there's something competitive for him to go for. When they play the Nets, for example, I'll like LeBron a lot. I mean, not just because the Nets play fast, but because when he has that little motivation thing, and I mean, he came out and took 25 shots in that game. He hasn't taken 25 shots all year in a game. But it was, Giannis won the last 2 MVPs. He feels a little bit slighted. Anything like that he used to get him going, I'm always going to use as an excuse. And so going back to Cleveland, I'll rate as, I guess, enough of one of those things to where I want to play some of them. And I'd pick him over AD, but I think that they're both good plays. And, sadly, I don't think that unless this game hits overtime or if it stays close, they can both put up 50 in a regular game. It's not like a good pace matchup or anything like that. But AD often plays better in those matchups too. So I like those two. I don't know if I'm going to get to anyone else in the Lakers. Anybody else for you there?
No.
Okay. How about Cleveland?
Who is, I know who he is, but my question is, who is Dylan Windler?
Dylan Windler.
The answer is, okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So Dylan Windler has been getting kind of some blowout runs. So he played 26 minutes yesterday against Boston, which the game was over at pretty much halftime, three quarters. But not only that, he did play against Brooklyn a couple of games before that, got 16 minutes there, gave a decent account of himself for 6X. I don't know, maybe they want to play this guy. And he's 3,200. I think that
what happened in that game against Boston where all these minutes were so different? Why did Damian Dotson also play like 1,000,000 minutes? Was there like foul trouble that I missed?
No, that game was over. I mean, like that game was literally over.
Okay, so because Okoro only played 30 minutes, and if the game's close, Okoro was going to play 30.
No. And it was sick. Like going into the third quarter, like because I had like literally 100% Kemba. Okay.
Yeah.
And I also had some Jaylen Brown and some Smart, whatever. But and I knew that the game was over. I mean, it was like a 25-point game at the half. And the first like 2 minutes of the second half, they run, extended to 35. So I'm like, okay, just let them at least finish out the quarter, right? And they actually let Brown and Kemba play the whole 12 minutes of the third quarter, thank God. And then it was just literally, actually they had to call a time. It was really one of those things. It's so funny. They sent the reserves to the bench, to the table with 2 minutes to go. And like you just tell one of those things that the Boston Stars knew they were going to get pulled out, and they like literally just like kept shooting because they just and Jaylen Brown scored like 10 points in like while he was waiting to get taken out of the game. Yeah, and then they took him, and then it was just literally the last 14 minutes of the game was just all the same scrubs. So that's where Windler got, but Windler got 26 minutes total. It's not like he got 0 minutes. But other than that.
That's a
so
lot.
Maybe this guy at 3,200. I don't know. Maybe we'll throw him in there.
I mean, Damian Dotson played 28 minutes too.
I understand, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. You could find somebody else can play the Windler thing.
We'll see. You'll see. You watch. He'll come all the.
Like he's not that much cheaper. I mean, I know it's a lot, 2,000, but Darius Garland's only 5,200.
Darius Garland, dude. You're talking about real basketball players. I'm talking about Dylan Windler. I don't want actual 5,200 guys. I want Dylan Windler, who's going to get like on a back-to-back. You know what I mean? Like, let's go.
So okay. So I'm just going to say my take on Darius Garland's thing. Obviously, them bringing him off the bench and probably playing him less minutes is semi-real, but it's mostly a temporary thing. They have their Sexland and they love those guys, and that's the future of their team. So, whether he starts or not tonight, I like Darius Garland. I think that Darius Garland's minutes, he only played 24 in the last game, or 23 in the last game against Boston, but you just mentioned it, why none of the starters played. He's projected to play 25 minutes today. I don't see any reason, because his first game back against Brooklyn, maybe there was a little conditioning issue, hadn't played in a while, was missing every shot, and he played 22 minutes. These could easily turn into 30 minutes. I'm actually going to move Darius Garland up to like 27 minutes, because I think if the game is remotely close, Darius Garland is going to play some minutes. So, oops, not Chidi Osman. Oops. Darius Garland. I got Osman and Garland's numbers. It's really frustrating because I have to try and remember what the other guys were. 27 minutes. Let's see what that does for us. Now he becomes a much better play, obviously, but I think that there's even upside on that. And he's a guy who can always shoot his way into a game. So it might seem like a weird long shot play. We need to have a concrete, he's playing 24 minutes only on a back-to-back and just coming back. If we get some other coach speak, or even if he's starting, which again, maybe takes away a little bit of his production, but it also, it also puts him in like a spot where he's probably going to play closer to the 30 minutes that he usually plays. And I think both he and Sexton have upside in their minutes in this game, but I don't know how much of it I'll end up getting to. I agreed with what you said the other night, and it really worked, Sheets, and it was kind of frustrating in that Nets game because Drummond was playing phenomenal. And we remember we talked about this on Friday, and Drummond, we're like, the best play is after that first game against Brooklyn, we should just go back to Drummond. And literally, like, nobody did it. I did it. He had 50 fantasy points in 27 minutes, and that was all he got. And that pissed me off a little bit because he was on the verge of being like a slate breaker, maybe a game changer. And by the way, I didn't mention this. I did really, really well on Friday. I only ended up doubling my money, but I finished 5th and 3rd in the basketball championship satellites, which by the way is the most frustrating tournament.
Wow, that's pretty good.
You know what sucks about it? Do you know how much you get for that? $100 and $120, and first place is 50,000, 58,000. It's pretty frustrating when you don't win those satellites. But Drummond was one of the guys who I used some of, and I think that we can take a shot there tonight. I just don't think tonight's is nearly as appealing, but I'm just throwing him out there as a pivot off of the obvious great center plays that we already talked about.
Okay, so I'm not leaving this yet. So this is going to be not the last. I'll probably talk about him later. So let me go over Dylan Windler one more time. Okay, so he's a rookie. Right?
Dylan Windler, I'm gonna have to play him.
Relax. Okay, okay. So he's a rookie. Very first game. Okay, he broke his hand. Okay, but in his very first game, I'm going to pull it up here. They brought him right into the second unit. First game as a rookie. Okay, so they were giving him like second unit rookie run right off the bat. So they must have think something. Okay. Then he came off the broken hand, came right in for 16 minutes, and then 2 days later got all this blowout run in 26 minutes. All right, I will be playing him at 3,200.
Okay, you've sold me in at least for some of my stuff.
I'll just sell you to look into it. That's
I'll keep looking into it. I know where I'm still a little skeptical on that one. All right, you want to jump over to it should be a really, really interesting game.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so first of all, it's not exactly a victory lap, but I did want to point out that there's one thing I've been really consistent on lately, and that's playing Jamal Murray. And he's put up 40 or more in 4 of the last 5. Some of those nights were 3-game slates where he was 6% owned and at 6,700 on DK. I mean, really weird stuff. So I just want to say that just Jamal Murray gets into zones. He finds reasons to get excited about, to get up for certain things. Playing against Phoenix doesn't surprise me that he got up for that one. Even though Booker didn't play one of them, but you get the crisp. Anytime the game feels like it tenses up or gets more competitive, it just I know he's going to take some extra shots, or if he's playing against another superstar, which brings up tonight where you've got him against Luka, obviously. The problem with this game is that I don't know exactly how you don't play Jokic too. This is the problem with the centers. Can I just read you Jokic's game logs? Okay. 67, 64.5, 72, 56, 62, 66. What the hell are we doing? You know what I mean? It feels like pretty much the most guaranteed production you could ever ask for from someone. And he's 10-8, which is too cheap. But we have some other good center options. That's really the only other argument against him, because he is, he's better than a good play. He's a phenomenal play. And Jamal Murray's a terrific tournament play who will also get 0 ownership as usual. Probably will end up with 40 fantasy points as he usually does, or 15. That happens too. We do have MPJ back, hasn't affected anything with Jamal Murray at all. Not quite at the point of wanting to play MPJ yet, but I do think it'll come at some point. And then otherwise you have the Gary Harris 1,000,000 minutes for 3,900. So maybe Gary Harris is a pivot off of your Windler chalk.
Windler, by the way, was not a rookie. He was a rookie last year. He missed the whole season with a bad injury.
Oh, okay. Well, this is even more of a ring endorsement. No, I'm just kidding around. What are your thoughts about this Denver side? And then we'll jump over.
You wait till we're going to be arguing at 6:30 about whether to be playing Dylan Windler at 40% ownership or not.
Can we just go? What we need to do is we need to just play on a site where we can just play all centers.
Well, that's a fantasy draft. Bring it back.
Brandon Adams sent me a message about that. So maybe I should actually look into that.
Bring it back. Bring back fantasy draft.
All right. So you want to touch on the Denver side?
Yeah. So first of all, the 35 minutes of Porter is not actual because it was double overtime. So I would project him for 28 something.
That has helped some of these guys' minutes, but it was only one game. Sorry.
Yeah. I agree with you. Jokic is great play. I guess since I'm in the frisky mood, I want to bring up a guy who you brought up a couple of games ago, and I wonder if you did any more looking into him. Do we have to? I think your comment is, do we have to start really thinking about Josh Green? So I figured I would ask you if we have to start thinking about Josh Green. Now, again, I don't know if other people were out when people were playing Josh Green, when Josh Green was playing more. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to ask you about him. Jalen Brunson is just totally locked into his minutes now. He's unfortunately not 3K. He's 4,700, but I think he's fine. And I guess Kristaps is a good play on FanDuel as usual.
It's a good bet.
But
Yeah, it's me.
I will say this, I did really well when I actually stacked Luka and Jokic together. They ended up going overtime, and I will tell you that it was looking a little dicey into the fourth quarter in that matchup. They happened to have just started to get rolling. What's that? Luka and Jokic.
In the last one?
Yeah. I mean, I got lucky that they got there, and then they went to overtime and double got there.
When were they? They haven't played each other in a while.
You sure?
They played on January 7th. I think that maybe you had them both in the lineups, but maybe they were different games.
January 7th. When did Jokic go to overtime? Oh, against Phoenix?
Yeah.
Okay. I may have made a mistake. So when did Luka? Yeah, I don't know what I did then. All right. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Yeah, maybe I just played them both. Maybe that was it. Okay. So anyway, so Luka's, I mean, great play. You like him better than, I guess you gotta like him better than Lillard off a back-to-back, right? I don't know.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure. What do you? Okay, so what do you think about Josh Green? Let's get that.
I don't think I'm going to end up playing Josh Green. There were some other bodies that weren't around. We've got more. Brunson was gone for part of it. They actually started Josh Green a couple games, and it seemed like they were lowering a little bit of Tim Hardaway's minutes for a minute, but then it just straight back up to it the last few games. Okay. So, but I do think Josh Green is worth revisiting. I hear a lot of really good things. I think he's a better real life player than he is a DFS player.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep reminding everybody, Dallas and Denver are the two teams that actually need to win basketball. I mean, everybody does, but these are teams that are good that need to win basketball games. And the West is no joke this year. So I have priority interest in all of these guys. I pick Luka slightly ahead of Chris. The only reason Luka is a better play to me than Jokic tonight is that we just have too many good centers. And you can play Luka with those centers and get different. And you can even play Luka with Jamal Murray if you wanted to do something a little bit weird. And Jamal Murray, by the way, I think from what I remember, and I'll have to double check this, I think he has a pretty good history against Luka. I know he put up 41 in the first game they played this year. And what I'm interested in Murray is I always want him shooting around 20 times, and he tends to do that more when he has these type of matchups. I think he shot 19 times the last game. So I don't mind that as like a different way of building. Again, we're still going to need some value. And I love Kristaps as always. I mean, nothing's going to change about this. This is a 9K plus player who is 82 and 8,700. And there's room for him at 9K plus too. It's not the dream matchup you'd want. There is obviously foul trouble possibilities here. The guy who's not going to show up on the things is Boban. But I will say, if you want to do yourself a favor, and Sheets, you know what? Maybe you talk for a minute. I'm just going to I should have probably done this before because I actually thought about doing this today. We should look at Boban's game log for his career. He basically always plays against Jokic. He always gets minutes.
Well, different. Is it different coach though?
No, same coach.
Same coach, right?
And it happened this year. Happened just a couple.
He did get 31 points in his last game, huh?
Points. In his last game period, right?
Not his last game period.
But he played like 16 minutes in this matchup, and when he plays 16 minutes, seemingly out of nowhere, he always does seem to get these minutes. Like I could see, him being the direct pivot, the direct replacement for Willie Cauley-Stein tonight, and you play Kristaps at the 4 because they want to protect him and not have him guard Jokic. I could totally see that happen.
We're gonna really use a center position on him, huh?
We should think about it. I mean, so I'm just gonna take a quick look. Let's just see. So this year, Denver, maybe it's reaching on this slate. It's something I have a note to always do. So he's 16 minutes the last time he played this year, but that's coming off of games with like 3 minutes, 0 minutes, 7 minutes. Last year, just want to take another look at this because they're pretty similar situations. Denver, he played 31 minutes and put up 60 fantasy points last year. This is not an exaggeration. This is no joke. He had 31 and 17 in real life and 2 steals and a block. So that was last year. That's the only matchup that he was apparently involved in. And I'm going to take one more quick look to see, just humor myself a little bit more the previous year. So the last 2 matchups, you get pretty much the ceiling Jokic Boban environment. I don't know. It's a long shot. It's something I'm definitely considering. We'll think about it later. And, it's not like they're in love with Willie Cauley-Stein in there. And don't be surprised if after lock or if we don't have a starting lineup and all of a sudden we hear, oh, wait a minute, Boban's going to start. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it could. And it certainly shouldn't be ignored, especially considering he put up like 65 fantasy points once in this matchup. I'm willing to take some shots on Jokic. I'm sorry, on Boban. But again, if we get real value to open up, even still, I'll probably still have some shots on him. I think he's a better upside play than Spindler or Windler or whatever his name is. But again, it's a long shot. I just wanted to throw him in. This is a game I really like for DFS, and I know it's not a great environment for the Denver side of things, but Jokic and Murray should both be in good enough spots, along with Harris as your value. Then you've got Boban as your value for Dallas, and Luka followed by Kristaps as my favorites.
Okay, so I have some thoughts on the Boston-Chicago game. If you wouldn't mind.
No, do it.
First thing I would like to say is, because I had a lot of him, I observed. Dude, Kemba Walker was good yesterday. Now, again,
no
Cleveland usually has played good defense. Dude, he was really good. He played full 24 minutes, and what I love, he had 0 turnovers. I mean, he was 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 40 fantasy points, wearing a tuxedo pretty much, without doing anything.
Yeah.
So he's out. So we'll get to Jeff Teague and all that in a second, but here's what I wanted to show you. I'm pulling up Zach LaVine just as an example, just to show you the scores of the games Chicago's played.
Okay.
They lost by 10 points to the Lakers. No biggie, right? They beat Charlotte.
Well, that game was like a 40-point game, though. It wasn't really like a 10-point game. It was like 35 at halftime, I think.
Fair enough. They beat Charlotte. They beat Houston. They beat Dallas. 2-point game at Oklahoma City. 3-point game at Clippers. Lost by 2 to the Lakers. 4 at Sacramento. They won at Portland by 3. Okay? So I joke about Chicago being hopeless in Coors Field, but they're in competitive games, which means these Celtics are freaking smashes tonight. I mean, Smart is just, that to me is where you start. Only because Jaylen Brown looks so expensive, but I don't know how he doesn't get there. Smart, Brown, even, Tristan Thompson, I don't know if he plays on a back-to-back, but Brown and Smart, and I don't know what to do about Teague, man. I know that he's going to show up in like every freaking optimal and whatever it is, and he's only 3,700 because what's his name's out too, Pritchard. So yeah. Who else? What else are they going to do? Who are these other guys they might play? Forgot the other guy who used to start, Tremont or something, or somebody else. But I just look at Teague's game logs. I'm like, he hasn't done anything in so long. But all these guys, where normally you might be like worried about a blowout, whatever it is. So how are these guys going to get in there? But they all rested the fourth quarter yesterday, as I mentioned, right? Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, they were all resting the fourth quarter. I think Chicago keeps it close. I think that these Boston guys are almost unfadable.
Yeah,
because think about this, because Tatum, I don't think is going to play a full rep. I left Tatum out, but I don't want to play Tatum. I think he's going to.
Why don't you like Tatum?
I don't think he's going to play a full. I think he might be limited. No. I guess he wouldn't be limited just because of COVID.
Guys have had different reactions to COVID. Some guys have been totally fine coming back. Some guys have been totally.
Yeah, maybe Tatum too. But I think that Smart. It's going to be very difficult. If you don't want to play Teague.
You're not usually a big Smart guy either.
I know Smart's going to play he's going to play point guard, isn't he? I don't know. Him and Jaylen Brown will play most of the point. I guess Teague will start and whatever, but Teague sucks. No.
I don't mind Teague at all tonight.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's not the same when Kemba's on the court. You shouldn't look at it. We shouldn't even look at his numbers. Like he's not going to do anything in those games unless he just gets hot randomly. One thing that's frustrating is they have a lot of bodies here. I was flirting with some of the big men for value. I actually don't think Robert Williams is a bad long shot tournament play.
Okay.
But Tice and Thompson are, one of the bigs. Tice, Thompson. I agree with your assessments in general. I don't think that Marcus Smart is like a lock to ever get 40, even in the best matchup. So it's kind of not like a thrilling situation. If there was no Tatum, that'd be different. But I actually like Tatum. I would start with Jaylen Brown, and then just behind him have Tatum, just because of the stuff.
Meanwhile, so much for Tatum at 7,700 on FanDuel. No more.
Yeah, I mean, wait,
He's
Tatum,
9K.
yeah, that's crazy. When was he 7,700?
The other day, remember? He was like a lock.
I don't remember. I always, for some reason, I thought he was like 9K this whole year. But yeah, I mean, Tatum, I think they're all really strong plays. I like Jeff Teague also against his former team. And yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't have the same, like, it's a great game environment. You could want to stack it. Interesting that, it's not a huge spread, 4.5. We said that, like you said, they play a lot of teams close. And isn't Zach LaVine just too cheap?
Hell yeah.
8,600. This guy is like a 50 fantasy point machine.
That's what I'm saying, man. Go Smart and Jaylen Brown with
yeah, you're in business.
And then if you want to play freaking what's his name, Teague, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, it's probably worth noting that Gafford has had a really, really tough matchup against the Lakers and a weird matchup against Charlotte. There's probably upside for him on minutes and production. So Gafford is probably the guy I would pick over some of these other ones. Maybe, like, again, centers tough to do because we love our centers, but he's one of the value guys I'm considering. I think that we've got Kobe White still on FanDuel at a low price. Yeah, he's 6K on FanDuel. So I do like Kobe White on FanDuel. I don't like him on DraftKings, but that's the other guy I'm sort of looking at in this game. Yeah, it's not I'm not really excited after that with the Bulls. They're going to play a lot of bodies in this game. Valentine is good enough to keep Temple from getting a ceiling, and likewise and so on the other way. God, boy, a couple nights this year, I would have made a fortune if I just played Denzel Valentine and just forgot about the projections and everything. But yeah, I think you're going to have some Satoransky minutes in this one. They just have everybody back. So Levine is the play. I don't really, and they don't have their center. Levine and Markkanen are in play. I don't love the Markkanen thing. I've seen this story so many times. We play this guy at 6,500. Oh, he's a lock. He's going to be 25% owned. He's 35% owned. He should deserves it. And he puts up 30 fantasy points. And it's just, okay, if he's 5,500, I understand, but I don't see the need to play him here. Levine is definitely my guy.
I like Levine here. I do.
I think it's Levine is the answer. And then
and Tate and Teague, he's
not a good matchup for Levine, by the way. It's a little tough but he kind of thrives in that situation, It's Teague, like he can get off his shot against anybody.
Teague is a shooting guard, so that you want to play Teague, that could be a very good way to pivot off the Dylan Windler chalk. So we can certainly we need to figure that out.
Yeah.
All right. What's next? I have
feels huge.
I have San Antonio, New Orleans next. Okay, so, I'd like to say that DeJounte Murray looks like the best projected guy on San Antonio. So I guess that's be where I start. I'm back to. By the way, I tried it yesterday for the first time all season. Never again. I went back to LaMarcus Aldridge. By the way,
I nailed it on him on Friday.
I know because because you're good at guys like that. I'm the worst. So I will say this that the way I'm going to exhibit my hate, or not hate, whatever. Marcus Aldridge is awesome. But my disdain for him is to play Zion. Good luck anybody guarding him. So that's who I like from this game. I like Zion from the other side. And Steven Adams is a cheap center on FanDuel. So on San Antonio, I like DeJounte Murray. You want to play Vassell, I guess. I don't know. DeRozan maybe. I don't know. But I like Murray the best and Zion on New Orleans.
Yeah, because the slate's so big, I just think that like Murray makes sense because of the price and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a whole lot of things we need to do in this game personally. New Orleans
I agree with that.
has played slow. I do like the matchup. I'm a little frustrated by the ceilings for Zion not really being realized. And some of it is the lack of, incredible rebounding, like we've talked about, not getting enough steals and blocks. That's been a little bit frustrating. Played a ton of minutes against Minnesota the other night, still only put up 41. I just feel like he's always in the same range, and this is a good matchup. I like him. I don't love him like I have in some other slates, but it's mostly because there's other good plays. Like he could easily put up 50 or 60 tonight. There's just a lot of guys out there who fit that bill. I don't know what they're doing exactly with Lonzo, but I think that maybe we should talk about him a little bit. Just 5,800 does feel a little bit cheap. I know Bledsoe's had the superior games lately and just been sort of on fire and running the offense and all that.
Bledsoe's had superior games? I haven't even noticed.
He just had a monster the other night.
Yeah, look at that. Wow.
He put a 41. I know because I was trying to play some of the other nonsense in this game. At some point, they should start doing things the right way. So let's just try and think real quickly, because JJ Redick can't keep playing 11, 16, 18 minutes because they don't have anybody who can shoot on New Orleans. Nobody can shoot.
Right.
Nobody can catch and shoot. Brandon Ingram can shoot off of 9 dribbles or something. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm trying to figure it out. I keep expecting one of these guards to take over some more of these other minutes, but they're sort of spreading them all out and then not playing Redick and not playing Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They need to figure out what to do. I personally think that it's mostly a stay away game for me. I do have a tiny bit of interest in the low ownership of Lonzo. That's the only thing I'd say. Well, you could really, what's crazy is it wouldn't be that surprising if Lonzo put up like 40 fantasy points in the game at all, especially enough pace, a good matchup and everything. But it seems like such a crazy off the board play.
So Golden State against Minnesota. This is kind of cutesy narrative number 2 is
Russell.
Is Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, and D'Angelo Russell too.
Oh, hope Russell plays. I like 5 Warriors on FanDuel. That's actually 4. I didn't even like Wiggins. All the other guys are so freaking cheap on FanDuel. You got Draymond at 4,900, Wiseman 4,900, Oubre 5,200, and then there's Curry. So that's my comment. I like all the Golden States. I like Golden State, and I like Curry and Draymond on DraftKings also. I don't know what to do on Minnesota at all. Whatever I do is wrong. So I'm just kind of hoping that you would help me out with Minnesota.
Yeah, the Draymond pricing is partly a mistake. I mean, the guy got thrown out of a game for yelling at his own teammate, which is just a bad young official mistake. I've never seen that before, and I don't think honestly, the league apologized and all that, but you can't do that. Like, you can't. It's crazy to me that actually happened. I'm with you. I like everybody. I have all my individual players circled that I like, and little lines through the ones I especially like. I have everybody on Golden State as in play here, and trying to decipher who's. I mean, like, the truth is, let's just keep it simple. The best play is Steph on DraftKings, in my opinion. Then you get the Draymond at 4,900 or 52, either one. I'll take both of those. Love Kelly Oubre at 5,200 in a. You know how I feel about Minnesota. You get a ceiling matchup, somebody's going to go off. And then Wiggins, who we don't always like to play, we have a little extra reason to think he might get some shots. He's been pretty much not going to kill you, kind of the standard Andrew Wiggins guy so far. Maybe they get him a few extra shots in this one. Maybe he gets a little bit aggressive. He's not really that type of personality, so I don't feel as excited as I would. It's the wrong price and probably the wrong slate, but I would have some interest in D'Angelo Russell in the hopes that he would take like 35 shots or something. But if D'Angelo Russell plays, it's really hard to have a ton of interest in much from Minnesota. But I do have interest in Beasley if he's out, and it would sort of shift things over where I would have interest in all the little other pieces depending on who started. I'd have some interest in Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, he's the guy that's going to pop for me, and I needed to have some direction on that.
Yeah, so I mean, probably a better play than Windler, but I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
How could anybody be a better play than Windler? I mean, honestly.
People are going to listen to this show and go, what the hell are these guys talking about? If not for, if they're, I think that Rubio's probably too thin anyway. Yeah, we'd have to see if Russell's out. I don't honestly know entirely what I would do. I worry about this game even staying close, which is weird to say. But yeah, I think Jaden McDaniels would be I think I love Jared Vanderbilt. I wish they just played him a few more minutes. He looks great. He was playing incredible the other night. And I had him everywhere in that New Orleans game. And he came and won and just swatted Zion away. And he had a double-double in 20 minutes. And then they just took him out. They just didn't play him anymore. And I didn't understand it. It didn't make any sense to me. But I know they like McDaniels too, but I personally like Vanderbilt.
I like Reed on FanDuel at 5,000.
He's 5K, huh?
I like him, I think, better than Wiseman, actually.
Interesting. Okay. So Reed on FanDuel, I'll put in as one of my potential plays, because I do want to look for some runbacks on this FanDuel stuff.
Yeah.
Because I like this situation. He's not the ideal runback. I mean, maybe this is just over. Look, Anthony Edwards gets up more shots per minute than anybody since not named Carmelo Anthony. He can always get hot. if he was like 3,500, he'd be like a lock for me on just to as a tournament play, like just be in half my lineups. But he really has like a floor of like 2, and he's got a ceiling of probably like 30 something. If there is no D'Angelo Russell, I would have more interest in him. But I do think Anthony Edwards is a wild card tournament play, sort of always in play, sort of always going to get the 20 plus minutes and have a chance to play more. All right.
You ready for the last one?
Yes, sir.
So a couple of guys who played yesterday who, again, you kind of gave him out as a good player last year, and he's, he's only a rookie. He's getting better. But Simons got run yesterday. He played over 20 minutes. He played 25 minutes or so, and he played very, very nicely, actually. I just figured I would bring that to your attention.
Not a rookie.
I thought last year was his rookie year.
No, I think this is actually like third. He's been like the untradeable guy for like years, and they've just
really, okay.
And he never ends up doing anything. But it was interesting to see him get some run, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it again tonight.
Yeah, back to back. Lillard might only play 42 minutes tonight. We'll see. So he's obviously a strong play. The fact that it's a back to back just helps the game stay close, I guess. By the way, I wanted to mention, for those of you that really are interested in betting sports, I mean, my son came in yesterday and says, "How is Portland only 3.5 point favorite over the Knicks?" And I said, "I don't know, man. They seem to know what they're doing." And Portland, they were up. They totally had the game in hand, and then they were up 5 with 10 seconds to go, and they let 5 seconds ago, like Quigley come in and dunk it at the buzzer to win by 3.
Oh my God.
Yeah, amazing. like it's usually even help.
A nightmare, man. It's a freaking nightmare.
It's ridiculous. So in any case, I think Lillard's good. That was really all I was gonna do. I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe play Simons again. On OKC, just make sure that we know what's going on with Horford, because I'll tell you, if Horford keeps missing, you could just keep playing Roby, no?
Yeah, and he's actually been pretty good almost every game, like for his price.
So Roby, Shea, certainly nothing wrong with Shea Lillard. Can't argue with that. Baisley has been a little disappointing, but I guess all those, Baisley, Roby, Shea, that's really all I would do. And I'd probably do that. I'd probably do those 3 with Lillard just for fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in love with this spot for Lillard.
No,
he's going to play a ton of minutes, and obviously he's going to be really popular. I don't even feel afraid of 60s though, and he's not like, he has to really go nuts to get to 70s. So I'm not as worried about just fading Lillard today personally. I might end up.
That's fair enough.
I might end up with a little bit of him, but my interest in this game is like fringy guys. Like, I know it's Cantor and a revenge against his old team, but it's not like they have any fans and they're not in OKC.
Well, hold on. Cantor played for OKC?
Are you kidding? Yeah, like most of his career.
I didn't know. I don't know. I always thought he was
like Westbrook. It was him and Steven Adams, and they were like Westbrook.
I didn't even know. I thought he was on the Knicks.
No, they had some good teams. I mean, that was the team that should have won the title with Cantor as the backup.
How old is Cantor?
31, maybe.
Oh my God! So Cantor's 31.
I'm just guessing.
But Capella's 25. I mean,
I'm just guessing on Cantor. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so let's talk about so. I'm not really interested in Cantor personally.
Wait, before I forget, Giles got 20 minutes yesterday in a Capella.
I was gonna say I actually put him in one of my lineups yesterday. I think that there's a chance that on the back-to-back he gets even more minutes, and OKC, who doesn't play like traditional bigs, like I could see him being out there for 20 plus minutes. So again, we don't want to use the center spot. That's the problem. So I'm not going to put him high on the list. I'm just throwing him out there as a name. But look, you're going to get minutes out of Covington. I just don't feel really excited about this spot for Portland. I will probably have a Lillard Shea lineup, but I want to talk about Hamidou Diallo being too cheap in a game that could be a little bit like, I don't know, you got a back-to-back there for Portland and kind of beaten up. They don't really have any interior defense, which is where he would take advantage. They can be a little bit sloppy. Diallo's a big steals guy. I'm just throwing him out there. He's 3,900 as a value play on DraftKings, and he has small forward.
We could throw a youth run back. We could play Diallo and Simons.
What about Diallo, yeah. I mean, yeah, the Simons thing is it's just a matter of how much do we think it's real that he keeps doing it. I think he will have some games. So I'm going to put Simons as a possibility here. I didn't have him at first because I don't want to go crazy because of one small.
Don't forget, he's shooting guard eligible, so it's more pivots off the Windler chalk.
Yeah, I mean, on FanDuel, you'd want to play Gary Trent at 3,600 maybe from here.
Did he even play?
At least look at
yesterday?
He always plays the same. Like, he always plays at least 20, and then he has the upside to get to 30. But yeah, it's not the most exciting thing in the world. He's just minimum cost over there, or 3,600.
Hood.
Carmelo, like none of these guys, like Carmelo is shooting the ball. Like, I mean, if you're going to take a cheap guy, may as well have him shooting the ball. He's 4,100 on FanDuel. You could do something with that, but I'm not like in love with this from their side. I do like the Diallo idea. I like the idea of potentially going back to Roby, but at that point, like, I think we're going to see, I think Bazley's been playing hurt. And I think at some point he's going to start picking it back up again. Had two really tough matchups his last times out against the Clippers, but he did play the minutes again, which had sort of dwindled away for him. So I could get very into Darius Bazley, especially on FanDuel at 4,700.
What about last guy, just because we play him a lot? What about Dort?
Yeah, and I think Dort is, their minutes are sort of projected all over the place, all these guys, but I think Dort is actually is completely in play. I wish we had Muscala as power forward eligible, which you do on FanDuel, but I would consider him, but I don't still love him. He just would be another guy on the list as a potential cheap value. And then I like Shea, but I think Bazley, Diallo, and Roby might be my most interest here. I think there's something to this. I don't understand why they don't find, let's just say this. I don't understand why they don't find more minutes for Diallo. I think it's time. This kid deserves a chance. He plays his heart out. He plays really well. He's pretty efficient. They're good plus minus, good on-off numbers. I don't really see what the reason is not to play him and to keep running George Hill out there. Or in the same vein, why not play Maladon a little bit more? Another guy who very, very low down the list of guys who I'm just looking at, but not really going to end up getting to him. And of course, it's going to be the night where Kenrich Williams burns me after doing absolutely nothing. He's going to put up like 30 fantasy points. But more likely, I'm just going to play Bazley and Diallo and Roby and sort of mix those guys up. Not play them together, but use them as my values.
By the way, I want to say dispute, but I don't think that I don't think people play lower tonight.
You don't think so? Okay, well, if they don't play
them, I don't, because I mean, I just myself was just saying to myself, I was saying, why don't I just find the extra 400 to play Luka?
Exactly. That's what I think too.
And if that's the point, then that's what everybody's going to do. No?
But that's been happening with Lillard, and he still ends up higher owned than, in my opinion, he should be on some of these slates.
Okay.
Like, just because the guys are out, like if there's still other bodies, it's not that he's as much of a lock as like James Harden is in the same environment. James Harden is going to touch the ball and do absolutely everything. Lillard is still playing a good team game, getting other guys involved. He's got guys on his team who likes to shoot, like Carmelo. All right.
By the way, that's what they did. By the way, at the end of the day, at the end of the game, the Knicks just doubled. They just doubled Lillard every time he touched the ball, and he gave it up very, very perfectly, actually.
Yeah, and that's what he'll do. He's a very, very, very good player. All right. So in terms of overall plays tonight, Sheets, why don't you let's you want to jump over to FanDuel, just talk about positions?
Sure. I wasn't really ready.
You know what? Forget that. I'll say my favorite plays and then throw out some specific FanDuel ones. Guys who stand out as being better plays on FanDuel. Plumlee.
I'll throw out my better plays on FanDuel. They did make a list of them. I'll just read them off.
Okay.
So as I mentioned earlier, the ones that stand out are all the Golden State guys. So like Draymond Green, Oubre, Wiseman, obviously Curry as well. Then my other favorites, FanDuel specific plays, Tristan Thompson, Adams at center, Teague also on FanDuel, by the way.
Tell you what, Lillard's going to be really popular on FanDuel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Lillard also. I like Lillard also. Yeah. Marcus Aldridge, as much as I trashed him, FanDuel specific, and that's pretty much the only FanDuel specific plays I like.
Yeah, I had McDermott, OG, Plumlee, just guys who are a little better plays. I'm not sure how much of them I'll actually end up getting to. Teague as my main guys over there, but in general, I'll just say and all the Warriors. My favorite plays overall on the slate are. It's going to be hard to get Embiid in. I play Sheets on Friday. I didn't talk to you about this. I ended up I thought I was going to have a chance to win. Okay, so I'm in 8th place at the end of the night, and I've got 8th place at the end of the. I still had the Knicks action, the Knicks playing at Portland action.
Okay.
But I had I played instead of Cousins, I only played Cousins in like 30% of my lineups on FanDuel, but I played Embiid and he put up 53 and a half, but he had like 43 and a half at like 2 minutes into the third quarter. So it looked like he was going to smash there. But the lineup ended up almost getting there. And then I played Kendrick Nunn at shooting guard at 2%, and he put up 40. He had 37 at the half. So I really hit that low and ended up at like 12th place or something. But it was just that weird thing you could do different. But I'm just bringing it up because Embiid is going to end up being that same kind of a play tonight, not because of Cousins, but because like center on FanDuel and DraftKings is just freaking loaded. You got Jokic, you got Vooch, you got Bam. There's just a lot of stuff you could do. And honestly, even after those guys, like there's interesting potential value plays you can, and even the power forward center, it's really small forward that's the lacking position. I just don't think that many people are going to get to Embiid, so it makes him kind of interesting. Embiid, Hayward, Vooch, Baisley, Bam, Teague, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Jokic, Porzingis, LeBron, Kyrie, Smart, White on FanDuel, and Levine. Those are my favorite plays that I've got as of this morning.
I liked Bam, Dragic on DraftKings, Draymond, Vooch, Lillard. Value plays, Teague, Jaden McDaniels, Iggy, Dylan Windler. And I also like Curry on DraftKings also.
Yeah, I like Curry on DraftKings as well. And I do think that the Golden State everywhere, by the way, for me. Yeah, that's pretty much most of my guys. We tell speculative value, even not exact value, but Darius Garland I think has upside depending on if we hear a hard cap on the minutes. Yep. Jamal Murray is the off the board play. Gary Harris, if you're stacking that game, could be used as a value play. Anthony Edwards, Boban, long shot. Don't sleep on the Boban thing. There's a legit chance that he plays like 15, 16 minutes tonight, and that's always good enough for Boban to put.
And also somebody you mentioned, I just figured I'd throw it out there again. Somebody you mentioned quickly was Gafford. If he starts again at 3,100.
Yeah.
Like I said, he might not get you 30, but he can get you 20.
Yeah, he was helpful for me the other night. Yep. Even the 20 points, that's good enough. And by the way, he actually is really active and can get you 30 plus. Like it's just a question of how much are they going to actually run him. And he's had some really bad matchups. So maybe with a better matchup here against Boston's weak bigs, maybe you see him a little bit more active. And also Boston plays like two bigs, so you kind of think they're going to end up using him. I think Gafford might be a little bit of a better play than we thought initially. So I agree with that.
The other, I'll go one against the spread thing that I wanted to mention because it just stood out. It just like really just as kind of an outlier total, whatever. Mm-hmm. I like the under in the Brooklyn Miami 236. That just seems like awfully high. So that would.
I agree. It seems high, but I don't think Brooklyn has hit an under yet.
I just don't know where the Miami's production.
Miami just scored 126 in this matchup the other night, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, even better. Yeah, definitely the under.
Then it's a lock for the under if it already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think of my first instincts of unders were actually like oddly enough Philadelphia, Detroit, but. Okay. All right, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. Sheets, anything else before we get out of here?
No, we're good.
All right, we'll be back with you at 6 Eastern. And for Sheets, I'm Bobby saying good luck out there. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.